Hello everyone, Tammy Powley here. Welcome to my bookshelf. Today I'm going to talk about some books I read in the month of November 2022. All right, I don't have any of these books physically to hold up and show you, so let me move over here a little bit. I'll put like a little picture over here of them. I donated all of them. Okay, except for one I didn't because it was a library book, obviously. But all the rest of them, I donated them to a bookstore, and then I bought books from the bookstore. So, but let's start with The Sentence by Louise Erdrich. That is a fairly recent book. It is a New York Times bestseller. I think it came out this year, 2022, if I remember correctly. I have fond memories of reading her novel, Love Medicine, back in the day. I think I read it actually when it first came out many years ago, and I love her work. However, I did not love The Sentence. I liked it okay. I didn't love it. I think, if I remember correctly, I think I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. And in fact, I have my Goodreads link down below in the description if you want to go see the details. And I may even do a more expanded review of it at some point in time on my channel. But I'll just give you the quick and dirty. If you like her work, I would still recommend reading it. She is a very talented author. Her descriptions are wonderful. Her characters are quirky and fun, but still feel real to me. But I felt like this book was more ambitious than it should be. And at times it kind of wandered away from the story of Tookie, who is our protagonist. And she has many ghosts in her life as far as her past and struggling with that. But then there's a literal ghost in the bookstore that she works at. And that's supposed to be the main focus of the book. However, we have the pandemic popping up, and we have riots and all kinds of other things that I don't necessarily discount, because obviously they were of critical importance, and some people may even like the book because of the fact that she addresses those. However, I kept wanting to get back to Tookie and the Ghost. So that's my personal opinion on that book. Obviously, it's a New York Times bestseller, so, you know, a lot of people liked it. The other book that I don't have in my hands because I donated it is Colleen Hoover's Ugly Love. It was the first time I've read any Colleen Hoover. I'm definitely going to read more of her work. I was very impressed at the, the dynamics of multiple points of view. She has the girl and the guy working back and forth, and the guy's point of view is in the past, and the girl's is current. She made me just like want to sit down and read the whole thing in one sitting. So I think that says a lot. I'm trying to remember. I think I gave it 4 stars or something on Goodreads, and the reason why it's not a 5-star to me, it's not a perfect book, is because of a few things. One was that I felt like the characters, and there's a guy and a girl, it's a love story. They have a situation where they're very attracted to each other, but for reasons where she claims that she's too busy going to school and working as a nurse, and he has had some sort of traumatic experience 6 years previously with a relationship. Neither one of them wants to get actually emotionally involved. However, they have a very strong attraction to each other physically and emotionally and everything else. But they don't want to address that. They think they just want to have lots of sex. Okay, and so there is a lot of that in the book. So I will warn you, if that's not your cup of tea, you may not want to read that. And in fact, that was one of my cons in this book was, I don't necessarily mind a lot of that, but there needs to be, I felt like sometimes it was kind of repetitive, the way it was written. I will say on the pro, there was always some sort of, like one time it's in a car, and another time it's, like they can't control themselves, and it's different experiences. So it's not, there's a different reason each time where they have these sexual encounters. But sometimes some of the reading of it felt like I'd already read it, like especially the kissing scenes, like they kissed and kissed and kissed, and then they couldn't stop kissing. And I was like, didn't you just say this? a little while ago, so it felt a little repetitive to me. And this is being super picky because otherwise I really enjoyed the book. And if you don't mind a lot of, sexual content, nothing offensive, just, a lot of specifics when it comes to that sort of thing, I would recommend the book. I guess my other pet peeve would be with it is that the characters did not feel completely developed to me a little bit. You know what I mean? So, but again, I have more details in my Goodreads review, and I might do another review of this that's more in depth for my channel. Let me know what you think. I'm sure a lot of people out there have read her works, and I have actually plans to read more of her very soon. So while I was on Amazon buying Ugly Love, Amazon said, "Yo girl, I think you would like Inglath Cooper's A Month in Tuscany." And I said, "Really? Why do you think that?" And so I read the description and I thought, yes, I do think it sounds interesting. So I bought it and I read it. I also donated it, so I don't have it to show you. But I think I gave it 5 stars. I really liked it. Yes, there is some cheesiness to it. The whole thing is where the main female character, she's 40 years old. She is supposed to go to Tuscany on a 20-year anniversary trip with her husband, who at the last minute says he's not going to go because work, which we know that's a bunch of baloney. But and it is, later on you find that out. So no big surprise, so it's not a spoiler. So as she is on the plane and she's, boo-hoo-hooing and drinking too much, she ends up tripping and falling into the lap of a super hunky guy who we find out later is an actual rock star. She doesn't recognize him. And, a lot of this is on the back cover, so it's, again, there's no spoilers in any of this. They end up keep running into each other and eventually run around Tuscany together. And that was kind of fun. That part was fun. The whole falling in his lap was cheesy. That was kind of contrived. But from then on, I really enjoyed the experience of them running around Tuscany together. And, her husband comes over and they're running from him and they're running from this person. He's running from the paparazzi. He is struggling with depression. And so she helps him out of that. And of course, they fall in love, no big surprise. There was one instance where there's something with her 20-year-old daughter that I thought the storyline kind of veered off a little more than it needed to on that, but then I can kind of see why that came into perspective. Like, there had to be some barriers put into place so that she just doesn't run off with the rock star, right away. And so that was a barrier. One of the things I found really interesting as a writer reading that book was the point of view. So typically in romance novels, they have dual points of view now where they have the guy and the girl. But in this book, they also had point of view from the guy, the girl, the ex-husband, and the daughter. Okay, and not only that, so the guy and the girl, the love interests, were first person. The ex-husband, not the ex, like he's not ex during this, the husband, because she's married, the husband was in second person. Yeah, you. But it worked. And then the daughter's was in third person limited. So, like I said, as a writer, I was like, wow, what is she doing? She's breaking all the rules, But it worked, and I was very encouraged. I want to write like that. So yeah. So anyway, that is what I recommend. Definitely, especially if you like Colleen Hoover, I agree with Amazon. You would like this book by Ithaka Cooper. Or Inglath. Inglath. I'm totally probably saying her name wrong, but that's who wrote A Month in Tuscany. And she has a lot of other books, A Month in blah, the different places. So I will be reading more of her work too. And real quick, I did start and stop Dracula. I actually bought the book. No, I didn't buy the book. I got the book from the library. I read a little bit of it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to listen to it on my Audibles. They had a free download, so I was listening to that. It was okay, but I just could not get into it. I mean, and I'm pretty stoic when it comes to classic works, but I was just like, life is too short, and yeah, I stopped reading it. So, and I stopped listening to it and I moved on. But that was also part of the I Read Dead People Read Along with Heather's Heroes and Heroines. Check out her channel if you're interested. We are now moving on to Wuthering Heights. So just a couple more books. One of them was an Audible's young adult book by Ibi Zoboi. Okay, hopefully I'm saying her name right. She is a wonderful author. I read her young adult book called Pride, which was a variation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. And this book was called American Street. And it is a wonderful story about a girl from, a teenager, I think she's 17, and she is coming over from Hades with her mother, but her mom gets detained. And then she ends up with her aunt and her cousins, and it's a big, she's trying to get her mom out of detention. She's trying to acclimate to America. I really enjoyed it, and the narrator of the Audible's book did a great job. So again, I have a more detailed review on Goodreads if you're interested in that. Finally, I finished The Doll Factory by Elizabeth Macneal. She wrote Circus of Wonders, and I did a review of that. I got that from Once Upon a Book Club, and I loved that book, so I went to check out to see what else she wrote, and I picked up The Doll Factory, which I ordered through Amazon. I will say I really liked it, but honestly I almost stopped reading it because there were some issues with animals being hurt that I did not like. So trigger warning to anybody out there, if you're interested in reading The Doll Factory and you are an animal lover, you may want to rethink that. After partway through it, I should have probably realized what was going to happen, but then I was hooked and I wanted to find out what happened to the characters, which I really did like. I liked the history that was connected to it and everything, but clearly there is a antagonist in the mix that is a very bad person, and at the very beginning, after about, I would say the third or fourth chapter, you realize, some really bad stuff's going to happen. So anyway, trigger warning. Again, I have more details in my review on Goodreads. So yes, that's what I got read during the month of November. Tell me what you have been reading lately in the comments down below. And in fact, if you've read any of the titles I've mentioned, I'd like to hear your point of view about them. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by to see what's on my bookshelf.